Hello, everybody, and that would be my dog slurping up water if you hear that in the background.
Is it getting picked up? I was like, great, right? Great time to start. Wait.
So, if you guys just want to hear a little bit of that for AMSMR.
AMSMR? If you guys want to hear that for AMSMR.
But, no.
My AMSMR.
See, I don't know if she does that. She'll do that. Hi, Penelope. And then she bolts up the stairs like
Yeah.
So
Hello.
we're coming to the conclusion of our our first month of kaiju movies.
Yeah, we would say modern kaiju, but we have not covered Shin yet, have we?
No, which is a very good movie.
We haven't covered Shin. There's some other Godzillas I
would
maybe...
definitely go out and buy.
Yeah, just buy it. Just trust us. You feel like you can trust us,
and
right?
you think we're talking sarcastically, like the movie's bad, but no.
No.
It'd be a shame if you didn't go buy that amazing movie.
It's the third time all a Godzilla movie's been is a monster destroying a city and government officials talking about what to do.
Literally, though, Shin Godzilla, really, guys, go check it out. It's actually really brilliant. And horrific.
Yeah, I know it's not saying much. Much better than, what was the crappy 1999 Godzilla?
You call that a Godzilla? Ugh.
No, I don't. That's why I'm asking.
I don't know what that shit-testrophe was. I just feel bad for
Godzilla.
Matthew.
Yeah, he's a good actor. Yeah, a lot of the people in that movie are good actors.
Yeah, Hank, what's his last name? Voices Moe in The Simpsons.
Oh, that is him, isn't it?
Hank...
Not Green. That he wrote...
no.
His brother wrote Fault in Something.
And I can't, for the life of me... It's A something, and I can never remember. But that would have been cool to see them in an actual, like, MonsterVerse remake, I guess.
Maybe even as a cameo.
Yeah, I mean,
because while acknowledging that movie makes us want to vomit. 1998 Godzilla. My apologies. Yeah. Hank Azaria. Yeah, I love him.
Azaria, that's how you say it.
Yeah, he's in the Smurfs.
Yeah, he's in a lot.
Brookmeyer. He plays one of my favorite characters in Mystery Men. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
No.
You haven't seen Mystery Men? Oh, great movie.
I think it's on my list. You know, I have a lot of movies on my list.
Oh, God. There's an actress who was in that movie, and it's her first movie under movies she's been in, so that's not great. Anyways. Yeah. But hey, we're talking about one that is actually watchable.
And actually pretty good. It was, What did Rotten Tomatoes say about it? I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, look up that quote.
Because that was very stupid. Let's see.
Yeah, because we disagree with it. Is that correct?
Godzilla...
King of the Monsters is what we're talking about.
Not the shitty American 1956 remake.
Oh, yeah.
Which wasn't even a remake. It was more just modernized and fabricated for Americans.
Yeah, I like how that started of, like, your journey into this kind of situation. Because you were like, well, I've only seen the American Godzilla movie. And I was like, you watch that? And you're like, yeah, I like it. And then slowly dissolved to like, well, it's worth a watch. To now you're like, shitty. It's kind of like how when I first met you as well, you're like, I don't really watch movies with subtitles. I usually watch dubs if they're available. To now you're like, blasphemous.
Because once you get it, you
get it. You get it. Once you get it, you get it. Yeah.
All right, let's see. This has got 90%. I can't see.
Yeah, this come out 2014.
I'm really trying to find...
No. 20...
What? No, it came out in 2019.
2019. It doesn't feel like it came out 2019, I guess. Maybe that's because 2020 was nothing. You know what I mean?
Pretty much.
2020 was the equivalent of driving past a road sign and being like, what did that say?
See, I can't find it anymore. I can't even find the consensus. I'm looking in images, and I can't find it.
Oh, the Rotten Tomato...
Yeah, it said, no story, too much destruction, not enough story.
What?
Is literally all it said.
That's what a Godzilla movie is sometimes. Like, I mean, there's a story to, I don't know, Godzilla versus Destroyer, but you're there for the destruction, in my mind, right?
Well, I mean, that's the whole point of Godzilla. That's why I really wanted to find this, because it's just hilarious, because...
Yeah. I mean, a story is a nice additive, don't get me wrong. I would enjoy a story. And this one has one, it's just not a very good one. But that doesn't destroy the quality of the movie for me, I guess.
Well, I mean, the new critic consensus is that Godzilla King of the Monsters delivers spectacular kaiju action and reaffirms that cutting-edge effects are still no substitute for a good story.
So, is that like a backhanded compliment?
I guess, because that was everything that people bitched about with the Gareth Edwards one, though, is that it had too much of a story.
The Gareth Edwards being the 1998 one?
No, Gareth Edwards did 2014's.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's no making them happen. They're like, there's not enough Godzilla. Now they're like, there's too much Godzilla. Like, make a...
Well, yeah, it's like...
Pick a lane.
Too much action. It's like, okay, it's a Godzilla movie. We're not... And it's not going to the Oscars. Okay?
And a few years ago, you complained that the last one didn't have enough action. Like, what are you trying to do here? You know?
Exactly.
At least the MonsterVerse has more tread than, like, the Warner Brothers DC cinematic universe.
Well, I mean, I don't think this really had anything to do with Warner Brothers. I think this was all Legendary because Warner Brothers...
Which is part of it, but it's not...
Yeah, well, and I'm just going to be open and say it because I have no shame in saying it.
Say it, go ahead.
Warner Brothers is not trustable. They're not reliable. They don't know what they're doing, and they don't know how to please their fans. They think that they're right, and they're not. There's not a debate there. Mm-hmm. With the Snyder Cut being out...
Yeah, now, at the time of us recording. Huh?
Yeah, I still haven't seen yet. I've seen bits and pieces. From what I've seen, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of Joss Whedon fanboys out there.
My brother watched all the way through it. Loved it.
Yeah, there's a lot of Joss Whedon fanboys who said this was just a rehash. And it's like, no, this is what Joss Whedon cut. His was a rehash.
If you think this is a rehash, like, I take that... Like, something else we watched recently, which the review of it hasn't come out yet by the time of this video, but it will at some point. We watched The Hunt. And that's my same, like... consensus of like people who slam on that movie for being too much this or too much that. I'm like, if you think it has a political agenda, you're clearly not paying attention. You know what I mean? And that's the same with the Justice League movie. Is like, oh, it's just they're redoing the same thing. It's like, no, it's a very different movie. That's like saying that Chris Evans' Captain America is exactly the same as the new Captain America we just got in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. No, not even kinda.
I haven't even seen that yet either.
He has a gun on his hip. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I'm assuming he's supposed to be that American.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like,
a symbol for American heroes. And it's like, all right.
No, that definitely doesn't bring up a Homelander situation.
Exactly.
But no, just starting right off the bat.
Yeah,
impressive with the designs.
Yeah.
Rodan
amazing.
Specifically, his poster, if you guys go look up his poster, absolutely amazing.
Rodan was your favorite monster design from this movie, you think?
Yeah. It was the most smooth. Yeah. It had like a creamy orange look. You know, it's like, and I hate saying it, but it's kind of like, you know, you have those orange cream popsicles.
Go on.
And the way like the vanilla kind of can blend with them.
Right.
Or Arby's, they have those like orange cream shakes.
Yeah.
And they mix very well, and you kind of like they mix them with like the vanilla and the orange, and it gives you like a very creamy orange color that's bright and like satisfying.
It still looks natural.
Sure. Yeah, that's exactly what they did with Rodan for his poster, and it looked amazing.
I mean, for me personally, for what we see of her, which granted is not much, but I still love.
It's a he, I think.
No. I'm giving my thing, because I was going to say my favorite design from this movie is Mothra.
Oh, okay.
Like, this is the best Mothra's ever looked, I think.
Probably the most true to... I mean, it's never going to top the original, obviously.
No. But, I mean, as far as, like...
realistic and...
Yeah.
Concept design, yeah, I agree.
This is the best, like, idea of a CGI Mothra I could have ever had, you know?
Yeah, which... I can't say how well all the monsters looked.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, like, that actually have names, they look okay. Like, what is the... Methuselah. That's the one that I remember. That's the one that you're like, oh, it's totally, the turtle. I can't remember his name. It's gonna kill me.
Gamera?
No.
Or Anguirus.
Anguirus. Yeah, you were like, that's totally Anguirus. But apparently it's a whole different kaiju entirely named Methuselah. I liked his design.
Yeah, that was cool. I was... especially looking from their drawing board, I was very impressed by what they chose to go with and how they chose to do it.
Yeah. So, some of the newer Titans, I'm like, oh, it's just a spider. or yeah, it's just a mammoth, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, they did it with a lot of creativity, and I think that's what really paid off. They got really artistic, because the original Rodan design looked so plain.
Right.
And it looked like the random over-the-top that you'd expect for CGI. But they really changed it around. I think they did that with Mothra, too.
Yeah, well, the Rodan from the original Rodan movie, which, who knows, maybe a review of that will be coming soon. Tease.
It is quite possible.
Being coy. It just looks like a pterodactyl, essentially. Like a beefier pterodactyl. Whereas
Which
this...
I think he is supposed to be a pterodactyl, too.
I know he is, but he's like for this, there's like more detail of like the wings look like they're on fire and like...
Yeah, he's got the veins, the orange veins, and the horns.
Yeah.
As well. Which is really awesome.
King Ghidorah looks pretty great.
Yes, they did a really great job with all the heads, too.
Yeah, I love the detail of each one being a different, like, cognitive thing.
They're all solo. They have their own consciousness. And I really like how they chose to keep the live motion capture for the actors to do all that.
Yeah.
So like all the snarls and different stuff, they just had 3 actors crawling next to each other and then placed that in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super cool to see
Very
that.
Very seamless.
Yeah, so I actually found that to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, Godzilla looks better in this movie. Like if you look at him compared to 2014, he looks better in this one, but for sure.
Yeah, I know one of my friends said they don't really like the new ones, but that's also because of the kind of the design.
Sure.
Because I agreed with him. There's one thing that I have personally with Godzilla, and that is that his head is a little too small for his body.
Yeah, he looks, he looks like a lizard. That's the thing. Like they made him look like a prehistoric lizard.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. I mean, it does seem like just a little bit weird because he's supposed to be the giant-ass beast.
Yeah.
So I feel like they could have made his head just a little bit bigger.
Yeah, well, that's the weird thing about Godzilla. His head's always been, like, not proportionate. Like, if you look at, like, Godzilla versus Biolanta and his design there, I like to call that one Godzilla Cat, because his face very much looks like a cat.
Right.
His head is very small in that one. It wasn't, I think the first Gojira, the original, like, his head actually looked proportionate, but besides that, even, look at the design for Shin Godzilla.
Shin Godzilla is its own breed.
Yeah, but it's like the head is, again, not... Look, have you seen the size of Shin Godzilla's arms?
Yeah, they're
T-Rex
supposed to be like T-Rexes, yeah. Which is something that I think that the Godzilla in here still kind of has. His are much closer to his thighs, though.
Yeah.
But he can use them enough.
Thick thighs save lives.
Which this movie does prove.
It does, actually. I totally forgot about that. Oh, so we're not just being pervs.
No, it's actually very true.
Yeah. But great movie. Stellar cast. Millie Bobby Brown. There she is.
Yeah, and Verma... Let me look
Yeah, just keep singing it. Yeah, she's the... she's in...
she's in a Bates Motel. Bates Motel.
And Conjuring. She
she plays Lorraine Warner. Based off the real
Lorraine Warner. Yep.
Yeah, so we had Verma Farmiga as Dr. Emma Russell. Kyle Chandler as Mark Russell, and then Millie Bobby Brown as their daughter, Madison Russell.
A lot of nice side characters, too. Let me pull this up.
Who, by the way, I believe when you're hearing this, Godzilla versus King Kong should be out.
It's out today.
Yeah, so if
on HBO Max for 31 days. So jump on that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Another treat that we got was having Charles dance in here.
Yeah,
that I was pretty excited about.
Yes, from Game of Thrones fame, he plays Alan Jonah,
who's. I mean, he's an
terrorist.
Anti-hero.
He's a terrorist.
I mean, I think we could call him that. Yeah, he's more. Yeah. I don't give a shit about the planet. It's whatever it is.
We got a decent set of returning cast from the 2014. We got David Strathairn, who played the Admiral, but of course we also have Sally Hawkins, who played Vivian, and Ken Watanabe as Dr. Serizawa. We got Oshie Jackson Jr., who you know as Ice Cube's son. As I think he's Lieutenant Barnes. Is that?
I know he was Ice Cube's son. That's cool to know.
Yep. Ashia Hins. She's the Colonel. We got Thomas Middleditch. I freaking love him. Do you watch Silicon Valley or any of his stuff at all?
I haven't started Silicon Valley yet.
Very funny.
It is on my list of comedies though. I've slowly been kind of making more time for comedies here and there.
Very funny dude. Anthony Ramos as the corporal. He was in Hamilton. I don't know if you ever saw that yet.
Didn't finish it through.
Mm-hmm. He's in Hamilton, and another movie that's going to be on HBO Max later in the summer. He stars as the main character in The Heights, which is another Lin-Manuel Miranda musical. Yep.
Sorry, I was also looking at.
You're fine, man.
Because I forgot that Randall P. Havens was in there.
Yeah.
Who was
he was the teacher in
Stranger Things.
Yeah, Dr. Tim. He's on screen for a bit.
He's supposed to be in. He's supposed to be in The Collector 3, but there's also the thing that they're calling the collected film, so I don't know if that's going to be 2 or what they're doing there, but that's going to be interesting to see.
A few more members of the cast I want to get through. Zhang Ziyu, who any of you might remember from the classic Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon movie. If anyone else watched that, because I freaking loved that movie. She plays Dr. Chen, and another character who we'll talk about in a bit later on, because it's a nod to other stuff of this genre. And then Bradley Whitford is Rick, who, if you liked his character in Cabin in the Woods, you will love him here. That's what I'll say. Just the sarcasm and the humor is there.
Like Gary Busey.
Exactly. But, not scary.
Not scary, freaked out. No. Oh, God.
And then the last one I wanted to get to real quick, because it is important, I would say. Joe Morton, who plays Dr. Houston, who you remember was a lot younger in the timeline, but he was in Kong Skull Island.
Who was he again?
The black guy who was
Yeah, what's his name? I heard his name, but
Joe.
Oh, Joe is his name. Joe, but what's his last name? I'm talking about the character.
No, Houston. He's the guy who's helping.
Yeah, he helps Randa. I just forgot his name in the movie. The character.
Well, let me look, because in this movie he's credited as Doctor. So let me check Kong Skull Island. I'm sorry, I know his name. It's in there. Let me just see. Yeah, he's with John Goodman's character.
Because he did a great job. He was a fun character.
Yeah.
And they kind of left that open as to... They kind of left that open as to there's a lot that they could do with it, but didn't reveal too much.
Yeah.
So.
Brooks. Houston Brooks.
Okay.
So he's in this movie, though, much older. But it's like, okay, so we actually have a connection between the movies.
Yeah.
You know? And, it's a thing that's not, it's not necessary, but I love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which, well, I think they should tie it together if it's going to be a monster universe.
1,000%.
And I think that's, one of the things that people are kind of, I think that, they think just because it's something small, a kaiju series, a series about giant monsters that they can't.
Ironic that you call it small.
Well, yeah. But people are like, oh, it's just a little franchise, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, but it's more than that. And if it's going to be an interconnected universe, there's a lot you could do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's where, the one thing that worked very well with Skull Island is when they had all that commentary.
Yeah.
It was better because it was more of an exploration movie.
Yeah.
Instead of a sit back, let's talk science, we want to see monsters battle it out.
Which is very indicative of a lot of King Kong movies. Like, the big bulk of the King Kong movies is a lot of, like, going to Skull Island, walking around, getting attacked by terrifying creatures.
Yeah, because they're all things like, what would happen if all these bugs were bigger than us? Kind of like Love and Monsters.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Which I have not seen
actually,
yet.
basically. Yeah, Love and Monsters are great. I have it on my Vudu. Check it out.
We'll watch it. We will watch it.
Great movie.
Okay. I was excited about it too. But, yeah. So, everybody, strap yourselves in. If you still need to see Godzilla vs. Kong, I know it's available to you via an HBO Max subscription.
Every MonsterVerse movie should be on there. Godzilla 2014.
2014 Godzilla, Kong Skull Island.
Godzilla King of the Monsters, and then Godzilla vs. Kong. And
from March 31st for 31 days, I believe it is, Godzilla vs. Kong.
And you should definitely be able to check out some of the original King Kongs as well. Yeah. One of those being not Godzilla vs. Kong, but King Kong versus Godzilla. The original third Godzilla movie in the timeline.
Yes, in the original OG timeline. Because thanks to Criterion for partnering with HBO Max, we got a lot of classic monster movies. Which not all of them we will cover this year, but we would like to cover them at some point. So, yeah. And just watch them, because they're a great time, and it's great, and I love supporting these classic movies.
And don't use that, well, they're cheesy excuse, because
no.
Movies are movies.
I just watched the original Gojira last night. It is nothing short of art.
And don't, just remember.
Be like, it doesn't look good. Hey, it was 1954.
With these types of movies...
Okay.
If these movies didn't exist, you wouldn't have the movies you have today. You wouldn't be enjoying them on a big budget screen.
There is, I will say, maybe you noticed it, I don't know. Because we are next week, first week of April, we are reviewing the original Gojira. We're doing flashback kaiju movies for the month of April. Which is, that's exciting to do. I love talking about those. But there is a bit in the original Gojira that seems very whoa. Because the guy says... Oh, I think your father's home. And then this is the shot. Maybe you noticed it too. This is literally it. It makes she's looking at the door, and then it cuts to her face forward, and she's standing up, and it's a quick cut like that. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
it grabbed me.
I don't like when movies do that. That's one of the things in my short that I was like, oh.
And again, it's a thing that I can allow pass because it's one mistake in an otherwise perfect movie. And it's very minor. It's literally less than a millisecond.
Oh, I know. It just is very trippy.
Yeah, it's jarring.
That is one thing I did regret with my short. Because it's those things you tend to notice and you're like, oh, man.
Yeah, because
how do we go back and do that?
Well, with what you're doing in college, you're trained to look for those things.
Yeah. And I was like, it was my first professional short, so I'm not going to sweat it. But yeah, that was definitely something I looked back on and I was like, wow. That looked
good job, Noah.
Bad.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden it's like, oh, in frame. Oh, we're over here now.
That's what you got to do. Do you know, it was last year, wasn't it, that you released Hell in a Box?
Yeah, Hell in a Box came out last year. So that is definitely up on Ice Super N Productions.
Yeah.
Or Ice Super N Films. One of the two. I don't remember. I have both. One of them you're going to be doing for shorts and other stuff.
Well, be sure to check one of those YouTube channels in 10 years where he will be re-reviewing his short that he released 10 years ago.
Which will be fun, because hopefully by then I would have made a couple of films.
And you'll just be sitting there like, oh God, I wish I had done this different.
Dude, I still sit, from time to time I sit and watch it, I'm like, I could have done this so much better.
Yeah, that's the irony of it, man. The second you're like, it's perfect, give it a year, and you're like, nope.
See, but I would be, like they always tell you, I would be concerned, you should be concerned if you don't think that.
Right, exactly, because that means you're not growing.
I think that's kind of like Tarantino. Mm-hmm. And while his movies are art, they're essentially the same thing.
Like Edgar Wright made Scott Pilgrim vs. the World in 2005, which I freaking love that movie. Right? That was 2005?
The movie? No.
Yeah, no,
2010.
2010. So I was 5 years off. Not that bad. But then a few years later, he made Baby Driver, which is an editing masterpiece.
7 years later.
Yeah, 7 years later. So I'm sure, 7 years from then, he's clearly grown. There's a very clear growth there. 2005 was when The Comet came out. That's right.
I was gonna say that probably was when it came out, along with like The Boys, because The Boys ran from 2005.
Well, the first Scott Pilgrim comic, like the manga, it came out, and literally right when it came out, a month later, he got a call from Universal asking for the movie rights. Like, that's how well it did. And he was like, "Sure, can we write it in tandem while I'm writing the story?" And they're like, "Yeah, whatever."
He's like, the studio trusts you. I mean, it's like Jordan Peele at this point. Mm-hmm. Can we do Scott Pilgrim if the guy agrees and we can just recast some of the characters as different minorities?
Yeah.
Spice it up a little bit? Sure. And it'd probably work out really well because it's Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele would make it a horror.
A lot of people... Yeah, but people keep forgetting, too, that he did a lot of comedy. Like Keanu Reeves, he did that movie with Keegan-Michael Key.
Oh, yeah, Keanu.
What about the little cat?
Yeah.
I wanted to get that. I saw it at the pawn shop today.
Where is the cat?
It's been so long. The funniest thing is I had an ex, and we sat and watched that movie. And I don't know what we did that day, but I don't remember that movie as well.
Yeah.
I feel like we like ate and half paid attention, and then we're like, oh my god. Are they talking about Keanu Reeves?
One of my favorite Key and Peele sketches. I don't know if you ever watched that show.
Is it the slave auction?
That one's great too, but there's one where it's like aliens disguising themselves as humans.
Oh god.
And he can tell if they're humans or aliens based on their actions. And my favorite is this guy comes out in like a trucker hat, a mullet, and wearing a shirt that I think has the Confederate flag on it. And he goes, "Hey, come on, we got a group of survivors." And the lady he's with like, "Okay, let's go." And he goes, "Wait a minute. You're all right with me being in your group?" And he points to himself and he goes, "Yeah, of course, man. You look great." And he goes, "Would I be allowed to date your daughter?" "Yeah, sure, why not?" Shoots him.
There we go.
It's so funny. He's like, "I knew he was an alien."
No, alien is definitely... I'm sorry, we're from the South.
Yeah, exactly. But Godzilla King of Monsters, Jesus.
This is kind of we're probably not going to do beat for beat for beat. There's a lot of drama that's like, if you want it in there, I could have done without it.
Personally, yeah, but I feel like they also had to put it in there to
emphasize push forward.
Yeah.
I mean,
like I rewatched it again solo, just focusing on the movie, and there's a lot of undertones that I think a lot of people missed, like how it's about like predatorial
animal instincts. Yeah,
and that's the whole thing. Is like the main guy, he's a photographer of that, so he studies that kind of thing, and it's like, yeah, he's very cartoonish in his whole campaign of like, kill all of them, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, given his circumstance, he's pretty justified in wanting Godzilla murdered.
I mean, here's the thing too. Like, you know, one thing that the MonsterVerse is doing different, which can both, as we've seen, both grow it and harm it equally, is that the original Toho series of Godzilla movies just so happened to have a story written around the destruction.
The first movie was very much story and like suspense and commentary on like war and, you know, how America kind of sucked,
and how humans kind of create their own monsters that linger for years.
Exactly. And that movie, I don't imagine they wanted to do anything beyond that. But when they were like, well, make you a sequel, and they're like, all right, what do we do? Oh, let's have him fight another monster. And then it kind of turned into this thing where it's like, it's still commentary for sure, but it's also like, it's more about...
messages.
Yeah, it's more about...
It's putting messages in a way that people can acknowledge them, but without having it immediately in your face.
It's kind of like how you find out 3/4 through the movie that Zootopia is about racism.
Exactly.
You know? Like,
and
it's just subliminal of like, oh, right.
But see, I like that because
Me too.
It's a very well done thing, and that is one thing that Japan, and that's something that I've always praised the Asian culture for doing when
just
it comes to their media, because Asia is one of the few with their like anime webtoons their storytelling culture always has some sort of subliminal message behind it, and is presented away. Like, for taking example, like Ghost in the Shell. How much of a machine can you be before you're not
a human anymore?
You're just
like,
a
you
ghost
can have the memories of a human, but are you really do you have a soul? You know?
Can you operate without being a machine? Do you have your free will?
Exactly.
You know, Attack on Titan, about the monsters that we become. From a little bit I've watched, it's like the monsters that we can become if we're not careful.
Sweet Home on Netflix. You know,
when desires become too strong.
Exactly. It can turn you into something that you're not anymore. You know, and you can just lose
everything.
Control. And based on the series, you can play the same song by Imagine Dragons every episode.
Yeah.
I just had to throw that out there somewhere.
Great
show.
You know, there's a lot. And I think at the end of the day, that is what makes martial art movies so good. It's about the journey, because each Karate Kid deals with that in a way. And I think that's one of the rare...
Daniel-san, you have to do this movie.
and you know, but I like that because it's one of the very few movies, and Cobra Kai has incorporated it very well. It's one of those few American-made movies that you can say actually has a subliminal message that was original and conquered something that was very relatable.
Right.
And can still do that 30 years later.
Yeah.
Godzilla, I feel like, did that very well in the 2014 version. When we started off, it was about, you know, kind of the way that we were destroying Earth and just not giving a shit.
Yep.
Because we just wanted to industrialize. Nobody gave a shit. We had a president that wanted to help us, but a lot of people were like, that's not our problem because it's our world. And it's like, no, it's not.
Well, a lot of people had the idea of, like, it's not our problem because of the estimations that they've made that we'll have to pay for these consequences, and I'll definitely be dead by then.
And that's how we shouldn't think. And that's what Godzilla is saying. I mean, in this movie, it's almost like the timeline is a speed up.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that shows it when you really look at it, is like one of the core elements about what I'm trying to think of her name. Give me a second here. The doctor,
Warner?
the mom, Dr. Warner.
Lorraine Warner?
Or not? No, that's the.
Oh, she's right.
Yeah, it's
Lorraine Warner is from frickin'
The Conjuring. Well, real life, but Conjuring universe.
Well, that's the actress plays.
Emma Russell. So
sorry.
with Dr. Russell, her whole organization that she's working with, that Charles Dance's character is the main baddie of, is that they just don't give a shit because they know evolution is going to take over, and they believe that the monsters.
If humans are meant to live, they will adapt to survive to this new world. But in order to save the planet, you need the Titans, because research in these movies have shown that their radiation has a way of bringing life back to dead things, and she compares it to how forest fires happen, and then the soil gets better.
Yeah,
you know?
like, and spoilers alert for the end of Far Cry 5,
sure,
because this is it's probably a very true fact. I mean, we've seen it with COVID and the pandemic. At the end of Far Cry 5,
is it 5 or 4?
No, it's at the end of 5.
Oh, 5.
At the end of 5, nukes go off, setting up the in-canon timeline of New Dawn, which takes place 17 years later. And what they say is it wiped out everything. The nukes wiped out everything. And then it became this very beautiful, flowery plant place to look. Now, people couldn't really let go of the old world for obvious reasons.
Because it's what you're used to.
But, you know, the Earth rebuilt itself.
Right.
And I don't think a lot of people think about that.
It's that was something go ahead, continue.
Well, people don't really think about the fact that the Earth will survive. Mm-hmm. People aren't making the estimates of we're destroying the Earth. I mean, even people like I was gonna say Uma Thurman. No, Greta
Gerwig.
No, Greta Thunberg.
Oh yeah, Greta Gerwig is.
Greta Thunberg, I think, is a little.
Greta. Yes, Greta Gerwig is an actress. God, my brain. Greta Thunberg, the little girl who spoke to the UN about climate change, and all those Republicans said that she was just a child, even though
because what do they know?
Exactly.
You know, but that's the thing. Like, her awareness, she knows. Like, it's not even just about Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about the fact that humanity will go extinct.
Yeah,
the Earth
she's still young enough that her mindset and viewpoint is still pure. She's not thinking about whether or not she's going to be able to fill her wine coolers next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because, well, where are you going to go if there's no Earth that can
exactly.
be
Like, she's
habitable?
thinking with her head, not with her wallet.
And that's, like, where the moral comes in. One of the things that this Godzilla movie did very well was to question the morals of what is right.
Right.
Between the forces of nature and human. Because humans have that... Whether you're a religious person or an atheist, the major conflict of this movie is man versus nature. Mm-hmm. Because man likes to think that it's more powerful than nature. We're not. There's not a debate for this. So if you want to debate it, debate it with yourself.
Here's the test: stand in front of a tornado with your fists up. I'm kidding. Don't actually do that.
Or go out and punch a tree a couple of times and see if you can knock it down.
See if your hand is broken or if the tree is on the ground.
And we're talking about an actual thick adult tree, not a little twig.
That tree is thick.
Yeah, go punch a tree with actual bark. I guarantee you your knuckles are going to break.
Yeah, that's fine. Just don't acknowledge my dirty, stupid joke. All right.
I did hear. But,
okay, thank you.
No, that is one of the best things that I think came out of this movie was seeing that.
Yeah.
And having that struggle.
And a lot of people don't like that kind of commentary, but it's necessary. It's
necessary. It needs to be there. And it's something that has always been in the Godzilla movies. Because, Tokyo's always wiped out. But, in those original Toho movies, whatever timeline you follow, they become so used to it that they just...
Whatever, man.
They have a whole money fail-safe for it. Because they know it's just going to happen again. Mm-hmm. But the thing is... There's no reason that they can't take precautions. There's no reason that we can't take precautions as people to not aggravate the Earth. Mm-hmm. Which I know for a lot of people might be getting political, but for the terms of the movie, this is less political than Shin Godzilla. That's for sure. Like by
a country mile.
Like about 99%. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. By like 99%. But that was like one of the parts because as the Titans kind of take over. And that's one of the things I was kind of curious because Rampage came out in 2017, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And they all were coming to this one beacon. Mm-hmm. And that's what they did in this movie. They had like a beacon that activated them. Are you saying
they ripped off Rampage?
Well, I'm saying it's just an odd concept that I figured that they didn't need to use in 2 monster movies. I figured they could have done something different.
And you yourself, you said you don't really categorize Rampage as a kaiju movie. The only way you kind of do is how I told you that G-Fest, the Chicago Godzilla festival that happens every year when a pandemic isn't happening, that they screened it, so you were like, okay.
I mean, it can be considered amongst the kaiju, but I don't think it's a true kaiju movie.
Right.
Same thing with Monster Hunter. Is it a kaiju movie? Yes, but it's become its own kind of breed.
Yeah, exactly.
Kaiju. So it's not...
Like, if that's a kaiju movie, does that mean the Monster Hunter video games could be classified more as kaiju games?
I would say, yeah, that's where it comes in. Because, I mean, then you're adding a whole lot of stuff. Same with, like, Ultraman everything. Yeah. So, it's complicated. But,
Can't wait for Shin Ultraman.
That will be interesting. I want to see him go against Shin Godzilla. But
yeah, you're welcome. You would have never known what Ultraman was if it wasn't for me.
I did see it in stores, and I just never gave it a chance.
Your curiosity would not be piqued.
It wouldn't have been as piqued if you wouldn't have shown me, no. But it was always there.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
It was there.
Just take the thing. No, I'm kidding. But spoilers ahead. If you don't have HBO Max, you can probably rent it on Amazon, Google Play, Apple, YouTube.
It's fairly cheap. I mean, you can, besides Target trying to become Amazon, which you're not doing a very good job.
Yeah, again, we're not trying to get political.
You can probably go pick it up at Target or Walmart for like $10.
Yeah, it's still a fairly recent Blu-ray, like 2 years old, which
in stores is still pretty fairly.
Considering how many movies came out in 2020, yes.
Yeah, which was little than none.
Yeah, little more than none. The Owners came out that year, but not many other movies that I can think of.
No, and we'll
talk about that at some point. But yeah, spoilers ahead for Godzilla King of the Monsters. I like how it starts off, because it starts off like during the 2014 Godzilla movie.
Yeah, it gives us, which was kind of a cool, because it kind of had that Batman versus Superman feel, and I can't help but think that's what they kind of went off.
Is it supposed to be happening during the 2014? Because
yes, and it rolls in. It shows
they're
a
in
flashback.
Boston. right? And didn't he attack San Francisco?
I think he kind of went all over, but that would have been on their part that they messed up.
Yeah. Not Godzilla's.
Because because they definitely had the flashback of him, and there was only that one attack, because I don't think they've seen Godzilla since then. He
was there, and as far as we know, as far as his attacks go, he went to Hawaii, and then he was in somewhere else, and then he was in San Francisco. But, like, he was in the flashback, because they go to Boston, and then they go to their old house at the end of the movie in Boston. So I'm like, when the heck was he in Boston? That's, like, my thought. It might be a plot hole that we're overlooking, or maybe there was another battle with a Muto that we missed.
Yeah.
There's always a possibility. He fought those guys a bunch.
I would assume that was probably what am I trying to say? I assume that was probably just a continuity error.
Maybe.
That's happened. There's some stuff, like, even in the MCU where it's like, wait a minute. That's not right.
Yeah. Well, someone pointed out during the first Avengers, which, can you believe next year that movie is going to be 10 years old?
Yeah.
Like, people are like, how do they talk to each other? None of them are wearing earbuds. I'm like, no, they are. Like, for sure. That'd be the only way. Otherwise, they're just really good at yelling.
Yeah. Which would be interesting.
Yeah, but it's just like every time you see them going like this. So it's like, obviously they have earpieces.
Yeah, they have something to communicate with.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they're connecting themselves through telepathy.
I have telepathy. All right.
Jessica's feet.
Jessica's feet?
Yeah. Rick and Morty.
All right.
I communicate through what you call Jessica's feet. No. Telepathy.
Jessica's feet. That's a nice joke.
Yeah, as soon as I heard that, I was like, Justin, where are you going with this? And I don't.
What are you going to do with Jessica's feet?
I don't think I want to continue down this road.
No. Not really for me. But yeah.
I feel like it'd be like going on I know it's a cutaway, but like I feel like it'd be like if you went on a Godzilla fan art site, like a fan fiction with Mothra, and it just scares me to even think, because I've seen...
Just don't bring it up. Don't have our fans Google that. Well,
no, don't do it.
No.
I
Keep
literally,
your search history clean.
I literally looked up Godzilla and Mothra.
No.
And I saw one Reddit thing.
No!
And it said a not safe for work photo, and I didn't even click on it. And I was just like, nope, I'm not even gonna try.
Why Reddit? Why?
Because Reddit is a very...
Is it worse than a sausage party thing with the radish?
I didn't click on the image.
Okay, good for you.
I was like, I am not...
Like, there are cute Godzilla Mothra things where they're, like, hugging and there's, like, a heart above, or, like...
Yeah, they're like the little...
They're
mushy
little
anime
chibi
cuties.
type of characters where Godzilla's wearing... He's wearing, like, a t-shirt that says, I love moths, and he's, like, begrudgingly holding her hand. Like, that kind of grumpy old man type shit. Those are cute.
Yeah, but then there's the others where it's like...
And I know if I ever go to G-Fest, I'll have... If I ever
That's a funny name.
That is. If I ever go there, I'll have to wear a Godzilla costume, and if I'm dating someone, she'll have to wear a Mothra costume. Like, that's just...
I'll
that's
just go
just
as
accepted.
The scariest monster there is.
Or I could be like a man Mothra, and she could be I could be Batra, the evil man Mothra that you said was nightmare fuel.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about going as the scariest thing I know in society that's a black man that's angry, so maybe I'll just make some V-shaped eyebrows and put some Godzilla makeup on. Give myself a Gojira tail.
You really stretched for that joke, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You really pushed the boundaries.
No, there was a joke I was gonna make, but I'm not gonna make it on here.
Yeah. Like
we'll wait till I'm older.
We'll say things that might get us demonetized, but we don't want to say anything that definitely will.
We don't want to say anything that will offend people in the next 10 years. We want to wait till we've achieved that status.
Not wanting to offend people. The funniest.
I'm okay with offending my people. We're all one of the same, don't you know?
All singular consciousness.
I can say that because I'm black, even though I sound white. You guys might not believe me.
It's like how the Namekians in Dragon Ball Z, when one of them gets killed, his power is given to all the other Namekians.
That seems like cannibalism through spiritual energy.
You have to watch Dragon Ball Z. Okay, so yeah, Boston is destroyed. Boston is destroyed. There's fiery buildings.
Boston.
Yeah, Boston. They're both of the scientists. You're gonna have to say their last name because I was about to say Warner again.
Russell.
Russell. The Russells. They're looking for their son, and it is confirmed later that the reason the dad, Mark, hates Godzilla is because when he tromped through, his son kind of died. So, you know.
They would have only had the best Russell of all, Kurt Russell. He would have survived.
I mean, it's the same reason our main character hated the Mutos in 2014. They killed his dad, essentially.
Yeah, except those were mindless killing machines, too.
Yeah, Godzilla
was just trying to do his job.
Yeah, and Godzilla, like, some people say, like, he's definitely a bad guy. He trounces through people and steps on them without even thinking, and he does that a few times in this movie too. And it's like
he's 300 feet tall.
Okay. Asking him to look down to see if he's gonna step on anything is like asking you to look down to see if you're gonna step on any anthills. Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Zilla. Can you please look down where you're walking? Maybe tiptoe through the streets instead.
Mr. Zilla, God, as it is put on your taxes, which you have not done yet. But one thing at a time. If you would please... Oh, that's a foot.
See, I really would see somebody stretching for that, and I really would see somebody... Because we just live in that world where they literally take Godzilla to court to sue them for collateral damage.
Well, that's what people were saying that the next plot after the first Avengers was going to be, is, like, sue the Avengers after the battle.
Well, I mean, it got there.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm waiting for somebody to be like, let's make a movie about it.
I'll ask that. Would you do that? Like, let's say Hulk was fighting the Rhino, and in the ensuing battle, your car gets destroyed. Would you sue Bruce Banner?
No, because the Rhino would have caused more destruction anyway.
Okay, would you sue the Rhino? Who's now in prison?
I'd attempt to sue the Rhino because he's the one who went on the rampage, not Hulk.
Fair. Or maybe, in this universe, maybe there's a little box you can check for insurance. It's like, fire damage, water damage, superhero / villain collateral.
Godlike beings.
It's like in The Boys when they have that support group for superheroes that injure them.
She turned to Sub-Zero.
It snapped off.
In 368 degrees and
it
snapped it off.
No, you have to say it like he does with the voice crack. It snapped off. And,
I mean, I'd be pretty miserable if my dick snapped off at sub-degree
300. The most terrifying thing is you wouldn't even feel it.
Well, you would. It just would be, like, super fast.
Yeah.
You'd be like... Huh! Yeah, I think it'd be like Kylo Ren's face in that one little moment in The Force Awakens where when Rey knocks the lightsaber out of his hand, he's just like...
Seriously?
Huh.
Yeah.
Like, what?
But then it flashes to present day.
Don't say it flashes after I said that sentence.
You're just a perv. It flashes to present day where Dr. Russell and her daughter are living in China.
Yeah, because that's interesting.
Well, that's because that's where Mothra is. It's a temple.
The babe of the monsters.
The babe of the...
With all the respect.
The boss lady. Yeah. They literally say in this movie, Mothra, Queen of the Monsters. And I'm like, cool.
They aren't wrong.
They acknowledge it. That's what some people also hate, is like, a human being would not say that she was Queen of the Monsters. And it's like, shut up. Just shut up.
No one asked you, Vern. Get back in your place.
Get back into your mom's basement.
Go back to fucking woolly mammoths.
Your braces and your nerd fedora. And your pocket protector to protect your pocket protector.
Sorry, I've been watching too much Rick and Morty.
You really have. And I've been watching too much internet. So.
We like it down here because we can fuck woolly mammoths. Get out.
This has been Film Nerds Hour. On that note, because I think we've reached the peak of comedy, so we should probably retire. No, so they're there because she's working and the parents are divorced, which means they're part of the 50% statistic. You know that.
Yeah.
Yep. If you don't know, it's very sad, but 50% of married couples who lose a child get divorced.
Usually because they can't stand to look at themselves, and the idea of conceiving another is feeling like it's just being a replacement.
Yeah. Speaking as people who have definitely both been married and lost a child, we would know.
I mean, no. it's kind of hard to well, you don't even have to be married to that. I mean,
married to that? It's another human being.
Well, no, I mean, all right, you don't even have to be married in that percentage to be like, okay, I had a kid and my kid died.
Yeah, no, I'm saying the person.
So how do you look at that person and be like, okay, I want another kid, but how do I not neglect the kid? Because
you're afraid it might die again. Yeah.
Well, you're also thinking, are we just making a replacement for the kid that we lost?
Right. I would only see it as that if you named the kid the same name, but with the number 2.
You see where it comes in, though.
I could see where you would subconsciously maybe think that.
Because it's like, okay, we're trying to fill that void, but we don't want it to be about replacing the kid that we had.
Right. You don't want to, like, put too many expectations on this fictional child that you haven't even had yet. I got you. But, yeah.
That weighs on Madison as well.
Yeah, Madison, played by Millie Bobby Brown. Said her name real fast. Because she's also staying in contact with her dad, because, you know, misses her dad.
11.
Huh?
I said the real Weapon 11.
Yeah. As opposed to Deadpool in X-Men Origins. But we don't talk about that, do we? Deadpool in X-Men Origins.
Yeah, what? Are you talking about that heinous piece of shit?
Yeah, he was referred to as Weapon 11 by the Colonel.
Okay, there we go. I got confused.
Or General Mudson.
Because that shit-tastrophe that they tried to claim as...
It's burned into my brain, man. I saw that movie before most people. Because apparently you can get pirated copies before the movie comes out. You just have to be aware that the CGI is not exactly done yet. So...
Better by comparison, looking at whoever did the animation.
It was funny.
How many years of animation... what are your...
something to be said.
Animation degree, and how many years do you have in your animation degree? 2. Okay, let's have you animate the claws. Oh, is this the best you could do? Yeah... You've seen the original trilogy though, right? Yeah. You know how their effects are much, much better?
Yeah. Can you do that?
Can you do that? Well, I don't think I'm ready for that yet. Okay, well, since you already did the work, we're just going to put it in the movie and pay you.
Yeah. The bone claws, they, like, in that version that I saw that wasn't complete, they step on them and you hear them crack, but there's nothing there. It was very funny. But anyways... they're there and they see Mothra come. She's birthed from, like, was it an egg or was she just like
she's like in a cocoon?
Well, she makes herself a cocoon later.
But I think she's almost like in an egg. It was kind of like just a shell.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't like so much an egg, so much as just a shell. But they see her and she kind of gets distressed because there's people like pointing electric weapons at her, and it's like, freaking duh, like, don't do that. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like, why would you aggravate something that you know is probably already going to be confused?
Exactly. It was literally just born, and now there's tiny creatures with shocking devices.
It's like when a baby's first born and you just kind of take it away from its parents and then just start sticking it with needles and it's like crying. It's like, stop crying, baby. You just took it away from its parents and started sticking it with shit. Of course it's going to be terrified.
Exactly. And it, like, starts spraying webbing and trapping people, and it's a fun scene. But then they use this machine called the Orca, which is designed to, like... Communicate with them via frequencies. And, like...
Sound waves.
First thing she tries makes it mad. Second thing she tries, it calms down. It's very nice. But then, this militia troop, I can't even remember what their name is.
I don't remember.
It wasn't said much. But it's led by
Charles Dance's
character.
Who is
They don't say his name much.
Alan Jonah,
yeah. A lot of people, when the trailers came out for this movie, they thought he was maybe the adult version of, or the older version of who played him? God, it's hurting my head.
Tom Hiddleston's character?
Tom Hiddleston's character from Kong Skull Island. A lot of people thought that that's who that was.
Yeah, which would have been kind of clever.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe he turned evil or something. Like, I don't know.
Or just became more evolution, cynical. Seeing, like, oh, shit. There's a gods among us.
There's a gods among us.
We can't really do anything about it.
Exactly. But they, it appears that they kidnap the Russells. And that's when Monarch, who in the middle of a Senate meeting, which is they're trying to decide whether or not they should be told to kill the kaijus or not, because sure, they have to go. Yeah. They have to go and get Mark, because if anyone's gonna know like about this kind of stuff, because he apparently developed the orca with his wife, so they thought he might know how to track it.
Yeah, which is honestly, as you can imagine, the last thing he wants to do.
Because he's obviously estranged with his wife, you know.
And it's basically his child, and also is like, I don't want to deal with Godzilla.
Yeah, and there's a lot of there's a lot of like themes of it of like he's taking photos of predatory wolves eating an animal, and he can tell which one's the alpha of the pack and which ones aren't. And then they're on the ship that like it can fly, it can swim, it pretty much does anything. It's like the helicarrier of Godzilla universe, essentially.
Yeah, it's quite a sight to behold.
Yeah, it's very nice. Very nice. It makes me think of like, oh, if humans invented a kaiju, it's probably what it looked like. Although maybe we won't, maybe we don't. We say that, but maybe we'll be told something else on HBO Max today.
Possibly.
Yeah, but you know, he gets filled in on everything and how they went to Mothra's home, and then Mothra cocooned herself under a waterfall. So they're like, oh, they're clearly somewhere around here looking for Mothra, and he's like, no, maybe they're going somewhere else. So they start mapping like Godzilla's patterns, because they see Godzilla, and it looks as though he's following the orca as well. And there's a great scene where it's like he's shining his fins, and they can like see him, and they're like, he's like, open the blast doors and lower your guns, and they're like, what? And he's like, he needs to know we're not a threat. Do it, okay? He's like, I want to kill him as much as you do, but if this is not a fight you're sure you can win, you need to do this. Okay?
Which I really find it funny, because it's like, oh yeah, little guns.
Yeah.
Like shooting, whatever makes you feel secure, but at the end of the day, 300-foot lizard with nuclear breath.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to take that much.
Exactly, but there's like a great like scene of shock value, which I'm sure would have been amazing to see in a theater, where like his fins are lit up and then they are down.
I was lucky enough to see that.
Yeah, and then
I don't know if I was actually.
He swims by, and then the lights are on, and just like swims super close to him and almost hits him, as if to say like, yeah, don't fuck with me.
I am the one thing that you don't want to piss off, so let's just make that very known.
Like, here's the deal. There's something way bigger. You cross me, you're dead. I will not hesitate.
The amount of personality that they've given Godzilla to is just brilliant.
Yeah, they've given so much personality to a character that doesn't even speak.
And is animated.
Yeah, exactly. CGI'd. He is mocapped, though, by a real person.
Yes.
Which is cool. But someone also talks about how he believes that there's tunnels and slipways that Godzilla uses to travel quickly throughout the world. Which, you know, interesting theory. And then they get to the base in Antarctica, I believe it is. Or is it Iceland? Greenland?
Antarctica.
Yes. Where Monster Zero is being held. Which, as longtime Godzilla fans, you know what that means.
Something good about that.
You see him in all of his frozen glory. You see all three of his heads, and you're like, wow, there he is. And then they're like, all right, let's drill holes in the ice so we can blow charges. And I'm just sitting here as an audience member like, frickin' what? Like, that's like the idea, like, of a fan knowing what King Ghidorah is and the power and fear he can bring. The idea that they're just like, all right, let's let him out. To me, that'd be like if somebody wheeled out Hannibal Lecter into a kitchen with a bunch of knives everywhere, and they were like, all right, let's unlock him. Like, I'm sorry?
Not a very good plan.
No, you crazy?
Or just getting a bunch of people high and being like, ooh, let's see what happens now when we put them in a room full of these.
Let's drive. Yeah.
Like, not the smartest idea.
No, not at all. But they go there and they're about to, like, you know, let him out, but then all the other soldiers come in. There's a great scene where the soldiers are going down a hallway and they're just getting grabbed by other soldiers hiding within this like plastic walling thing.
That are like, just be smart.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not gonna win.
Exactly. And like one is definitely more outfitted, but the other is definitely better trained. You know, so it's like, who's who? You know.
Yeah.
But then as because Mark goes in himself to get his daughter and his ex-wife, he's like, come on, and Jonah drops the charge detonator, and then his ex-wife picks it up, and they both start backing away with like a mean face on, and then she pushes the button, and it's like, oh, okay, so they weren't kidnapped. This is part of the idea, like...
This was the illusion.
Exactly. So King Ghidorah gets out. We get to see him do a lot of terrifying things, including but not limited to eating people with his 3 heads, using lightning to literally turn dudes into nothing.
To dust.
Yeah. My favorite line, oh shit. And then boom, he's
it's
gone.
Just the best part.
He's just gone.
You just see the head just look at him.
Yeah, you see lightning go up from his stomach into both of his throats, and he knows from like seeing Godzilla's back light up, he's like, oh shit.
I don't know what's worse, because Randa said the same thing before he got killed by a skull crawler too, because he just goes, oh shit.
Yeah, it's very like, oh well, I'm going now.
It's like, but what's worse? Because at least he got like shinked by the teeth but gobbled up.
Exactly.
Where it's like, you have to sit and imagine, like, that's like 3 seconds of hell just burning to nothing.
Yeah. Well, and like the people that are just like, the soldiers are trying to shoot at it, but I'm just like, why?
Run.
Freaking run. Get out of there.
Let's throw little stones at it.
It's a troll. Let's throw this stick at it. Like, no, you're not going to do anything.
And I wish they'd make those smarter, because I know, like, instinctively, but most people at that point would have been like, huh.
No. I'm dropping this gun so I can be lighter, and I'm just booking it.
We got a big extraterrestrial 3-headed dinosaur.
With wings.
With wings, and it's making a storm, and it just shot lightning at all my friends and proceeded to gobble up everything. It's gonna rise out of the ground like a phoenix, and I don't want to be around for that.
But then we see, like, the sonar starts to pick up, like, just ba-da, 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 and I'm like, yay, he's here!
It's like Batman.
Exactly. It just, Godzilla shows up out of the ice, and they're both just, like, facing off against each other. That image of them like standing across from each other, I want that to be on a painting.
It probably is.
It's somewhere. Beautiful.
If you go to all posters, they probably got it.
I'm just like, eee! And Godzilla proceeds to, what's the word? Get his ass kicked.
Pretty badly. Because it's
like,
oh, I haven't dealt with something like this with.
This is new.
3 individual heads and my tiny little arms.
Or I have before, and he just was a lot easier to deal with.
Back then.
Back then, yeah.
God. Just like old times, except I got my ass kicked this time.
It's just like, I'm wondering what their, like, actual dialogue is. Like, Godzilla shows up, and one of the heads is like, it's you. And Godzilla's like, what's up, you son of a bitch?
I would assume it goes a little something like that.
Yeah, something very hostile, like hostile but friendly, because they've been fighting each other for so many years, you know? And it's like, there he is. What's up, dumbass?
It's you know? Don't forget, when I brutalize you, it's going to hurt a lot more now.
Yeah, exactly. But they start fighting, and, like, you get the classic thing of, like, because Godzilla's thing that he used to defeat the Mutos was his atomic breath, right? Like, that was his big ace in the hole that everyone in the audience was like, yeah!
I'm going to shove it down your
throat. Exactly. And his atomic breath looks more lasery now. In the 2014 movie, it looked more just like straight fire.
Yeah, which is what Shin Godzilla started off with before he literally makes a fucking
laser beam. That also comes out of his back.
Oh, okay, so you just see him throw up all this, like, black clouds, and you just are like, okay.
And then you see it catch on fire, and then like, you see,
okay, it's gas, and then you see
it focuses it into a laser, and you're like,
yeah, it goes from, like, yellow, orange, and then the purple laser, and you're like, oh.
And then all the lasers start coming out of his back, and you're like,
dorsal
yeah!
But the worst part is when he stops, opens his mouth, and you see all the steam come out, and then just the laser right after it. And you're just sitting there like,
No, but
so don't fuck with him.
Exactly. But Godzilla, he shoots his laser, and King Ghidorah, because he's aiming for one of his heads, he just like kind of weaves out of the way because the necks are a lot more mobile than the Mutos were.
If only we had a sound play, I would have played "I'm a fire in my laser."
I'm a fire my laser.
I'm a fire in my laser.
And then he hits him with lightning. Godzilla's foot accidentally hits when he's walking towards him, and he hits their little helicopter two-bladed thing that they were going to use. The Raptor, I think that's what it's called. That they were going to use to get out of there. And Mark gets stuck. But Sally Hawkins' character stays back to help him. And they're both running back after Godzilla gets beaten down. And they're running, and Sally Hawkins just looks up and screams.
Yeah,
and
Vivian.
then she's Vivian. And then she's just gone. And I'm like, no! You were there the first time I saw this movie, and I was just like, fuck, really?
It became a Pacific Rim uprising.
Yeah, I was like, why? To make us care? Like, I already cared. It was King Ghidorah. Of course I cared. Why kill Vivian? Just because she helped him? Like, my God.
That was his vendetta. It was like...
And, like, they pull a freaking Jurassic Park Lost World where they pick up the guy and then they wishbone him each end and they're like, make a wish, and tear the body. And I'm like, and Serizawa is looking at it and he's like, oh my God.
Like, this is
I've been working with this woman for 20 years and now she's just gone.
Well, it really becomes like a whole-on freaking, like, I want to say, it really looks like Sausage Party during the kitchen scene where you're just like
death, and you're like, what?
So how do we address this?
Exactly. And like,
what is it? Oh, the Force Unleashed.
I'm sorry, King Ghidorah, you didn't need to eat her. Like, that's a tiny human. That's not sustenance for you. Like, what was the purpose?
Dominance,
I guess.
But, do you remember the Force Unleashed?
Oh God.
Best part, when you start slaughtering stormtroopers and the other ones come out and they're just like, they see you slaughtering the others and they go, how the hell are we supposed to defend against that?
My favorite bit to do, it was like how I got out anger with that game. You pick up one of the stormtroopers, right? Move him around a bunch, and then you put him on the ground and kind of just drag him, and as you're doing it, at some point he just dies.
See, my dad called me a Sith Lord because I would throw him into the wall.
Yeah.
Throw him out the window, bring him back in, throw my lightsaber through him, and then just chuck him through a window again.
Because it was cool.
And it was like, I get to shock you, choke you, and throw you through a window.
No, that was the thing. Like, you pick him up, and then you just drag him, and as you're dragging him, boop, coins pop out. So you're like, okay, he's dead.
And then,
whoop, and you throw him into a bunch of other guys, and it's like freaking playing. It's like bowling.
Dude, if I would have seen myself as a little kid, if I would have been in the game, I would have pissed myself because
they have guns.
Well, no, it would have been electricity. All of a sudden, two people are being thrown through a window. There's a lightsaber. I turn around, a lightsaber's coming at my face.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been like,
yeah, it was a much more realistic portrayal in God, what was the Star Wars game that they just came out with?
Fallen Order.
Fallen Order, yes, that was much more difficult.
Well, because we'll definitely talk about that in an episode.
Yeah.
But that was more of Padawan.
Yeah,
and
it was
connecting, and that made it.
As opposed to you just got trained by the most powerful lightsaber wielder of all time.
Next to Revan.
Now kill some people.
Now it's like, oh, I'm gonna unleash all the hatred.
Exactly, with the Force.
Gimme.
But yeah, so they get out of Antarctica, thank God. And Godzilla kind of just retreats kind of ungracefully, and King Ghidorah just starts flying away. The evil people who let him out are flying somewhere else, and it's like, okay, so we're kind of licking our wounds here, and just kind of like, fuck, you know.
We have been royally effed by the extraterrestrial.
Exactly.
E.T. really fucked us up the ass this time.
And Thomas Middleditch's character, who is very clear, he doesn't say it ever, but it's very clear. He's in love with Dr. Russell. Because they're like, I saw her. She pushed the trigger herself. And he's like, sorry, you're wrong. And it's like, no, I saw her too.
Yeah.
Because later on in the movie because Mark and him very much don't get along. Because he worships the ground that his ex-wife currently walks on.
It's like, oh my God.
One of my favorite bits. Where's the hangar? I know where it is. anyone else? He's like, no, I'll show you. Come on.
Literally anyone else? No? Thanks,
anyone
everyone.
else? And oh god. Yeah, again, you guys need to watch this movie because of all the jokes that are made by so many of these characters. A lot of them fall flat. I will say.
Like the gonorrhea one.
Yeah, they're like, Ghidorah. What's his name? Gonorrhea? What? And it's like, no, say that joke the second time, not the first voice reveal. Like,
it took away.
It took away from the gravity of like, oh, it's him.
It's like, ooh, goosebumps.
It's kind of like at the end of The Force Awakens when you see Luke standing there, and I was just like, oh, he's back. Oh, this is the beginning of a new trilogy. And I just hear a 9-year-old behind me. Why is Luke fat? And I'm like, oh my god, I freaking hate this. Worst day of my life. This is also the kid who the entire time was kicking my chair, and every 5 seconds, who is that? Who's that guy? Who's that girl? Why is Han old? Why is Han dead? Like, freaking shut up! Let me watch the movie, small child.
See, and you know me, I just would have suitcased the kid.
I know you would have.
Pick him up, tuck him under my arm. Kid, you're coming out here. You're gonna sit out here until the movie's over. Have fun. Don't get kidnapped. What?
You would have been like, you would have looked at this child and been like, excuse me, are you paying attention to the movie right now? No. Then shut the fuck up.
See, my head probably just would have did an Exorcist and went.
That was my favorite. This guy was talking about when he saw The Lord of the Rings in movie theaters. And this is a guy who, the books came out when he was in high school. So he's been waiting for these movies forever. And he was sitting in the theater. And this is Dan Avedon of Ninja Sex Party fame. He was talking about this story. He's sitting in the theater, and there were guys behind him who the entire time were quoting lines as the people in the movie were saying them. The first time he was like, hey, guys, can you please be quiet? I'm trying to watch the movie. Sorry. And they're like, oh, yeah, sorry. And then a few minutes later, they started doing it again. And he's just like, guys, come on. Seriously, please? And they're like, yeah, sorry. And then 5 minutes later, they started doing it again, and he just turns around. Yo, shut the fuck up.
I've had to do that to people. I am literally one of the few people. There was a couple that I cock blocked in the theater because we were watching a horror film, and
they were trying to make out.
Well, no, the dude was under the blanket, and I could see it. So I go over, so I take a big drink because they're making a lot of noise, and I literally just sip my drink and go,
delicious.
Oh no! And I just started making noise. I was like, and I start smacking my popcorn.
Delicious popcorn.
And then the dude looks over at me, and I literally just turn my head and I'm like,
maybe you should watch the movie instead of doing that.
And then there was another point where he was trying to do something again, and I just took the rest of the slushie, just went, and he gets up and he walks out of the theater.
Yeah.
And you hear the girl go out and be like, babe, where are you going? And then she takes the blanket off and she just looks at me and gives me like this death glare, and I'm just like,
bye.
Have fun.
No, one of the worst theater going experiences, and I want to hear your response to this, because there was a guy who we could tell he was smoking weed, and he was clearly like theater hopping. You know, you buy a ticket for one movie and then you just keep walking from one theater to another. And he's sitting there. I was going to see Bad Boys 3 with my friend. And I get in there last.
Life.
Yep, because I was like, oh, I'll just buy. What do you guys want for the concessions? You guys just find our seats, and I'll get the concessions. So I'm walking with like my soda and the popcorn, and I give it to him. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. So I leave, come back, and the guy, he's standing there, and his feet are up, like right in my path. And I was like, excuse me, could you move your legs, please? And he goes, you can step over. What would your response have been?
I would have stepped on his legs and said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Yeah.
You broke my leg. Oh.
I was just like,
I couldn't step over.
No, you can put your legs the fuck down. And he looked at me like, who do you think you're talking to? And I just looked at him like, and he did the classic thing of like, and then he put his legs down.
See, I'm not that nice.
And then we were leaving the theater, and I'm doing the very Minnesotan thing of like, holding doors open for everyone. Like, there you go, strangers, you guys have a good one. I see him coming, and there's a gap between him and another person. The second that other person walks through, I'm just like, there you go. Just let go of the door.
See, I am one of those people.
Sorry, you were a dick. What do you want?
I'm one of the people who will either A, be walking and kick your legs, or proceed to step over them, but possibly.
Well, I
step on
also
your knees.
feel like because this was like a bigger guy, and I look like this, so that's probably why. Like, you know what I mean? Like, at least you look half intimidating. He probably would have been like, yes, no problem, sir. I will move my legs accordingly. But I'm just like, excuse me, sir. Could you move your feet?
I think it's something about my eyes being wide when I turn around and I look at people the death.
You have that like, I'm going to kick your ass, and I don't care where we are, look. Down pat. Meanwhile, I'm just like, fuck.
When I'm in a theater, I'm just like, I am here to.
I should have invited you.
Popcorn.
I should have invited you because even if I was walking and you were behind me and I asked the guy to move his legs, you would have been like, "Sir, move your legs."
I love intimidating people in theaters. I know it sounds so wrong, but it's just like a hobby at this point.
The other weirdest thing I heard, or I didn't hear, a comedian said he heard in a movie theater, and then we'll get back to King of Monsters, I promise. Wow, this has been a long episode, but it's a special movie. This guy was watching X-Men The Last Stand,
oh god,
and Halle Berry Storm was on screen, and he heard someone in the front row just go, I just want to tongue that bitch. It's
Dear
like,
God.
oh, wow.
No subtlety whatsoever.
No.
I just want to go Monsters Ball on Halle Berry.
I just want to tongue that bitch. And I was like, huh?
It's like sitting in listening to that courtroom where the guy is trying to pick up a prostitute and it's a cop undercover. And he goes, and you said, I quote, girl, you're thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. And you just see him do an eyebrow raise and point at the judge and go, uh-huh. And it's like,
all right.
Right. Next.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of next. So, they're on the ship, right? And then do they get the message from her?
I think so, yeah.
Or is that later?
No, I think that's next.
Because is it after Rodan or before Rodan? I think it might be after. I think it's after. So they go to somewhere in South America where Rodan is. He's in a volcano, because sure. He's the fire demon after all.
Well, that's where he was in his original movie, too.
Exactly. And they go and they're using the sound from the orca. They hacked into a PA system to wake up Rodan. Oh yeah, it's after. Because she explains her plan. Sorry, guys. Which is, they're going to release the Titans one at a time. Because studies have shown that their radiation in Vegas and San Francisco, Boston, it heals the place that they're at. So, and they feel like human beings with war and famine and like pollution, all that stuff, we're kind of a disease, and the Titans are the fever. So they're gonna release them one at a time, and they're like, "What about humanity?" And she's like, "If we're strong enough, we'll survive. If not, we didn't deserve to anyway." And it's very like, okay.
It's
like,
blunt.
right. Yeah, it's very blunt. Very blunt. So then they start releasing Rodan, who's just like he's a giant, monstrous pterodactyl. Like, he flies, and then it looks like a freaking hurricane. Just people in cars and houses.
Children.
Go flying! Go flying! And like one of my favorite bits is one of the soldier guys holding on to a kid while holding on to like a sign, and he's like, "Hang on!" Like, oh my god!
It was pretty comedic. Like, it's horrifying, but at the same time,
kid.
you're just watching people like, look at them fly around like birdies.
I would have been like holding the kid and being like holding onto the pole and been like, I better get being paid overtime for this bullshit. And sign up for this.
Oh god, I love scenes like that.
But Rodan, through various means, takes out a whole fighter squadron, like of 20 jets, just by himself, via like doing barrel rolls, grabbing them with his feet, grabbing them with his mouth. One guy he hits, and the dude eject parachutes right into his mouth.
That was like, the best part.
What kind of freaking luck is that?
There's a couple scenes like that where it's just like, oh shit. I'm glad I was not that person.
One of the lines I didn't pick up on in King of the Monsters, or Kong Skull Island, where the dudes are running from Kong when he starts throwing the helicopter, and the one guy yells at the guy who gets hit. He's like, "Zigzag, you idiot!" Did you hear him say that?
Yeah.
It's so good. And then he gets killed. But
it's literally like running away from Darth Vader and being like, I'm gonna make it, and then immediately running into another Sith Lord who just puts his lightsaber through. It's like,
and they're like,
shit, I was gonna make it.
They're finding their big plane, which Rodan is following, and they see that, like, they work out because King Ghidorah disappeared into a hurricane, and then they realized, oh, it is the hurricane. He is the hurricane. So they fly it into the hurricane, and just kind of Rodan hits him, and they both start fighting.
Obviously.
Favorite quote, Christ, they're killing each other. And they're like, yeah, and?
It's kind of like that Jason quote. Ah, he's killing me!
He's killing me! He's killing me!
Which makes sense.
James A. Janice made my favorite joke in Dead Meat, where he's like, and he starts doing something to him. What's he doing to you there, man? He's killing me! He's killing me! Oh, that's... Ooh.
It's a little brutal.
Yeah, just... I love that. What's he doing to you there? And then, you get the pervy frickin' coroner. They were beautiful. Yeah, she still is. Eating a banana while looking at dead women.
Dead titties. Definitely doesn't...
And then the body moves. Jesus, fuck, Christ, God damn it.
Definitely doesn't make you a necrophiliac.
No, definitely not. You heard it here first, guys. So, they fly, and Rodan hits King Ghidorah. And then Rodan goes somewhere and... Rodan, like, falls into the ocean. And then Godzilla shows up and starts fighting King Ghidorah. And he's able to bite off one of his heads. Which is very, very admirable, I will say.
Yeah.
But then they shoot a new weapon. Americans, the military, they shoot a new weapon that's going to kill both of them, known as an oxygen destroyer. Which, if you know anything about the original, number one, that's how they killed the first Godzilla. Spoilers. For a movie from 1954. And
but you gotta give it credit. It is a classic.
It is. And number two, it's the thing that makes the monster known as Destroyer. Or Destroya. So, yay.
Awesome.
Hopefully we get him teased at the end of Godzilla vs. Kong. I guess you people listening will already know if we did. Tell us in the comment.
Comments are always welcome.
Yes, please.
Plus, if there's a bunch of trolls, then we know we made it. Thank you, trolls, in advance.
We got one dislike, and I was like, yay, we exist. I'm not saying this so you guys just dislike us. That's not the vibe I'm trying to have here. I'm just saying that you guys will acknowledge on YouTube, we know we've made it when there are people who are like, well, fuck you, for no reason. So it hits him. King Ghidorah flies out of the ocean, grows a head back, cause sure, and a bunch of fish come out from under the water, and they hear Godzilla's pulse, and they hear it slowly fade, and then he just dies. And Dr. Serizawa says, "Congratulations, Mark, you got your wish," like very begrudgingly. Which also, when they were like, "It's going to kill both of them," Mark said, "Would that really be so bad?" And I'm just like, freaking dude, read the room. You're in the Godzilla fan club. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you can see a little bit of regret on his face, because it's also like, the one person who wanted to save you to some extent.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, let's murder him instead.
Exactly. So then, King Ghidorah, he gets on top of the volcano that Rodan sprouted out from, and Rodan, he bows to him because he's, the king, and he screeches outward, and then
best scene ever. He perches up on top of the volcano, and we get a beautiful shot. Look it up. Oh my god, it was a fucking amazing.
And then we just see all the Titans just wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, and it's like
all over the world.
Oh no,
fun.
This is bad. And they're like, I thought we were gonna wake them up one at a time. They're like, that was the plan. And then she realizes, like, oh, they're not gonna actually... It doesn't look like they're actually gonna heal the Earth. It looks like King Ghidorah is just gonna use these other Titans that he's dominant over to destroy the Earth. Because they find out he was known as Ghidorah, and he was an invader from another planet, a false god. And they're like an alien? Like, yeah, I guess. And that's why the oxygen destroyer didn't work, because he clearly doesn't need oxygen.
I didn't really think of that, but now that I think about it, he is a cosmic being, so he's kind of like Pennywise.
Oh,
air. Is that what you guys take? But then again, he is a living storm. He's like an elemental to the system of Earth.
I feel like if Pennywise did attack me, he would show up probably as a giant King Ghidorah, and I'd be like, I'm peeing my pants.
Would you really need to be that? Look at the Paul Bunyan.
Yeah, exactly. Ugh.
I used to have nightmares about being at the Mall of America and seeing that animatronic with his thing and his eyes would light up. And I was like,
you're afraid of animatronics.
No, but there's nothing scarier than a barking animatronic dog and then seeing like a 30-foot motherfucking animatronic with glowing eyes holding a giant axe, moving his hands.
The axe that spins with people in it. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm sitting there like, no.
Hell no.
No. If that falls, no. No.
Trust me, they spend millions of dollars on maintenance each year to make sure that does not happen.
There
you
are
never
people
know.
who cut corners.
Yeah. Yes, and then we get disasters. But
like Final Destination roller coaster.
Final Destination roller coaster.
Which now made me scared to go on roller coasters again.
Deepwater Horizon, that was the thing. They skimped on like freaking checking the concrete plating for the oil rig, and that's why they had like that oil barge just explode.
Yep.
But anyways, they end up like all the monsters are just destroying freaking everywhere, and Maddie, the daughter, because they are near Boston, so Maddie decides to grab the orca, and she starts playing it over the Red Sox intercom system to try and get the kaiju, the Titans, to stop, which they do stop for a bit, but then King Ghidorah starts moving towards there, so then they kind of split into two groups of like, okay, so soldier guys, you're gonna go and you're gonna hold off King Ghidorah while we activate this second bit of the plan, because Mothra showed up, full Mothra, because her Dr. Shen, her twin, was there, which is a nod to how there's always the two priestesses who are identical twins with Mothra. And she's like, I'm from a line of twins, like 4 generations.
From the original Toho.
Yes. Masterpiece.
Keep forgetting I have Rebirth of Mothra, so I need to watch those.
You're welcome. I got this for you.
This is true.
So they're like, oh, she's symbiotically communicating with Godzilla. And they're like, so they have like a thing? And they're like, interspecies relations isn't uncommon. And I'm like, guys... Stop making the jokes that take away. Like, I'm okay with jokes. I love jokes. You know that. But when it's a serious moment with magnitude to it, and you're making jokes,
I don't need to think about a lizard dick going into a butterfly vagina.
Exactly. I don't need to think about it. They're like,
I don't want to think about it. It's like thinking about how Charlie Day was trying to bang a kaiju brain. Like, no. I don't want to think about it. So I don't want to know it exists. Bye.
See Pacific Rim 2 review on Nerds Hour YouTube.
Yeah, you guys will enjoy that one.
You'll enjoy how angry you are. Have you listened back to that episode? You are pissed.
No, I have not.
But they end up... they're like, all right, we're going to take a submarine and we're going to find Godzilla because maybe we can use a nuke to jumpstart him, in a way, you know? Because Mothra showing up means that he's not dead, you know? So they fly the submarine, it gets sucked into a wormhole, and then they're in, like, the ventilation, like, underground tunnels that the guy was talking about. And they see Godzilla's, like, home, which it looks like an ancient temple, and the design is great. It really makes it feel like at one point Godzilla was worshipped, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
But then the place is so radiation filled that when they got pulled in, they can no longer launch nukes. So, and they realize, they're like, can we just put it there, set a timer, come back? And they're like, no, the radiation in that place is so heavy, whoever does it, they'll die anyway. So Dr. Serizawa was like, yeah, I'll do it. Like, if anyone's got to go, it should be the older guy.
The guy who knows most and appreciates the one creature that can save us.
Yeah, and the guy goes through him realistically what's going to happen to his body with the radiation. He's like, all right, you're going to start to feel lightheaded, then your vision's going to start to go, but I'm putting drugs in the suit, so it doesn't hurt that bad. It was a pleasure, sir.
Which is the sucky part, because you have to imagine, oh shit, he's got to experience all that before he dies.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's not just going to, like, peacefully, nice and go to sleep. No, this is suffering.
Like when Thor goes to make Stormbreaker.
Exactly.
Like literally one thing that has a key role in keeping survival.
Yeah, exactly.
As a weapon, and you're just sitting there like, oh, it's going to be very painful and probably will kill you.
What's that line that, the giant dwarf has?
You'll be taking the force of a full star.
It could kill you.
It could kill you. Only if I die.
Yes, that's what killing you means. It's like, did you see the Mortal Kombat trailer?
Yes.
Favorite line. It's a birthmark. What do you mean? He was born with it. No shit. Oh, one of those birthmarks. Sure.
Yeah, the one that looks like his and hers, and I saw this one other chick and guy.
No, but it's just like, it's a birthmark. What do you mean? He was born with it. No, I know what a birthmark is. He was born with it. No shit. Wait, at birth? No. I'm just giving slack to that trailer. But, he ends up bringing the nuke there and blowing it up. And he says, goodbye, old friend, as we see a gigantic explosion. And then the explosion also pushes the sub back out into open water. And we see Godzilla, and he's way bigger than he was. Like, dude is beefed.
He went Shin Godzilla level.
Yeah, he was huge. Size-wise, freaking huge. So then he goes to Boston, and they're like, they're going to do a little Dr. Shirazawa let him fight type action. And they're like, no, this time we join the fight. And I'm like, you're choosing now to be epic? You took so many serious moments and made them funny.
And also it's like, Godzilla's like, okay, fuck off.
Yeah,
literally the one human that I let close to me, and it's partially because I was weak. The other part is he knew, and I could sense he was going to revive me because he saw me as an ally. Mm-hmm. The rest of you, you're fucking piece of shit. You let me die. You're the ones who killed me, so go away.
Exactly. So he ends up like huge fight between him and King Ghidorah. It looks like it's going in Ghidorah's favor, and then we get Mothra's like revised theme, which all the revised themes in this are freaking fantastic. Like Mothra's theme, Godzilla's theme, they're all beautiful. But she flies down, hits him with webs, but then King Ghidorah calls and Rodan and Mothra start fighting. So there's two kaijus fighting here, two fighting here, and Mothra like freaking hits Rodan with like her stinger, and he like falls down, and Godzilla gets freaking wrecked. And the whole other thing is like Godzilla, he's got so much nuclear radiation that they're like he's gonna explode in any second. You know?
Yeah.
And also, they're all looking
Which is a nod to... You gotta say what that's a nod to.
Godzilla vs. Destroyer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where he blows up at the end and melts?
Yeah.
Well, and then later on we get an even bigger nod to that. But, so they... A team lands and they start looking for Madison, and both the parents, like, team up at a point, and they're driving and they're arguing. And one of the guys is like, if I had this... He's like, I get what this girl's coming from. What do you mean? If I had these two as parents, I'd run away from home too. And they stop the car. What did you just say? He's like, I said if I had you two as parents, I'd run away from home too. And they're like, home. And it's like, I thought you were going to talk about how he insulted your parenting on a cellular level.
And it was accurate.
Yeah, exactly. But no, they chose that as an epiphany of like, that's where she is. And they find her, and Godzilla gets the shit kicked out of him again. And then Mothra, like, tries to fly towards Ghidorah to attack him, but she gets hit too. And then she kind of, like, dies on top of Godzilla's body and, like, kind of just disappears into nothingness. And I was like, no.
Becomes, like, vaporized into soul. Well, and the thing about Mothra is she rebirths itself.
Exactly. That happens every time. But then they're like, all right, we gotta get Godzilla time to heal. So she's like, I'll take the Orca and start it up so it can distract. But she realizes it has to distract him longer, so she starts driving with it. So she's doing the self-sacrifice thing, because she knows her daughter's going to be okay because she has the dad. You know?
Yeah. But it's still like, oh.
It's still very sad. It's very sad.
Because the family gets wiped out.
Yeah, they fly away and she's just sitting there and it's like, no! It's very sad. But then she lived the king, and we see Godzilla's full flame Godzilla mode, which is also a Not to Destroy, where he's just like huge, red, fiery. He's walking and things are melting. Buildings, solid objects, melting. And he just has like scars on his face, and it looks so badass. And then he just like
releases a pulse of energy.
Releases a pulse that looks like Mothra's wings. It disintegrates Ghidorah's wings. Second time, 2 of Ghidorah's heads gone. Third time, Ghidorah falls down, stomps on his stomach, and blows him the frick up. And then you see Ghidorah's head come out of the smoke, and you're like, no, he's still alive? No, he's just in Godzilla's mouth. And Godzilla vaporizes him.
By blasting through him.
And they're like, whew, good thing he's on our side. Yeah, for now.
It's like, so you really think it would have been an idea to really piss him off and fuck with him?
And like all of the kaiju, including Rodan, like they all walk up to him and just bow, you know, because he is the Alpha Titan now. And that's kind of how it ends. But then we get a post-credit scene. You take it away here, sweetheart.
Which we get a Charles Dance's character who comes and realizes there's a mecha possibility for one of Ghidorah's heads.
Yes. Which, again, with that movie being out now, you'll know if that's how it is, but they've already said that's how it is. Because, yes, King Ghidorah's head that was torn off, someone fished it out of the water.
Yeah.
So he buys it. And that's kind of how it ends. And there's also, newspaper articles that pop up of, like, Mothra, giant egg found in the ocean, Kong leaving Skull Island, like all this stuff.
Yeah, I like how the post-credit scenes always allude to something.
Yeah, always read everything that you see on the on the back. And like one was new forest growing in the Sahara, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So yeah, overall, as far as monster fights go, great. Story, you might be disappointed from this one. But
Story,
again,
I'm going to give a 6.2.
Yeah,
the action, I'm going to give like 9.8.
Yeah, me too. Again, the story, it's just like their issue was they took every serious moment that they had and just kind of were like, joke, joke, joke. And it's like, no, we want human beings, please.
And even if they would do it serious, I'd still only say it'd probably be about a solid 7.
Yeah, 7.5 maybe if
Too
it was
much
full
drama
serious.
for...
Yeah, again, it's like... Yeah, they had humans in the Godzilla movies, but they took more of a back seat usually.
Like I said at the beginning, it was more of a... It just so happened to be surrounded, like the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
It just so happens superheroes are popping up in the world.
Exactly.
With the original Godzilla, it just so happens the government is now figuring out that they need to figure out how to ally with Godzilla whenever he's pissed off.
Exactly.
And PMSs.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I enjoyed this movie. I definitely check it out if you guys enjoyed this. And yes, at the time of this video coming out, or also coming out on Spotify and Anchor, it is the 31st of March, which means you can go on HBO Max right now and watch Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah, which we will be reviewing.
Yes, April 2nd. So in 2 days, Friday, our review for that will come out. We
you guys will be
promise
able to do that. So... Without further ado, guys.
Yes, be sure to follow us on all socials, Spotify, Anchor, YouTube.
Instagram, we got that too, and a group on Facebook.
Yep.
So feel free to follow us there and keep up to date.
Our Instagram also has email, so if you guys want to suggest anything to us, let us know.
Yes, and without further ado, he has been Nathaniel Shoemaker.
He's been Noah Sweeto.
This has been Film Nerds Hour.
Hey.
So long, everyone.